What's up, metalheads? My name's Jamie. This is the BladesAndEDC channel. Thank you all so much for being here. If you're new, consider subscribing and make sure your notifications are turned on. Upload lots of cool knife videos and there's lots of cool other things coming. So yeah, make sure you're notified so you don't miss out on anything. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button for me. It really helps the channel to grow and get pushed out to new viewers. And we're on our way to 1K, guys. We're getting close. We're over 900 now. I think we're getting close to 920. And at 1K, we got some cool stuff to give away. So yeah, I'm excited for you guys on this one. Really excited. All right, today I would like to welcome you to episode 7 of Versus, where I have a really cool Versus video. This is one I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to make it. And I decided I should make it because two very comparable knives at different price points, right? You can get one for one price point, you can get the other for other price point. They're similar in materials, but you can definitely feel the difference in the price between them. So today we're putting the Kizer Mini Begleiter. This is the premium version with the frag titanium scales and M390 blade steel up against the Tactile Rockwall. This is the golf version, which has been discontinued now, but they have the regular version with the regular milling. The only difference is the milling. So this one is in Magna Cut, and it's titanium. Both do have stainless steel liners. The liners on the Rockwall are nested, which makes it thinner overall than the Begleiter. The Rockwall has a stainless steel pocket clip, and the Begleiter has a titanium pocket clip. But yeah, two what I would consider very gentlemanly knives, right? Gentleman's carries. They both feel premium in hand compared to a lot of other knives, I should say. And yeah, they're both very good knives in their own way, although in price they're very different. The Mini Begleiter is $140. The regular Rockwall is $300. This one's $330, but this one's no longer available. But yeah, let's go over some specs and I'll get into the differences and why I think the price is it's okay for what you're getting. All right, the overall length on the Rockwall is 7 inches. The overall length on the Mini Begleiter is 6.64 inches. The blade length on the Rockwall is 2.84 inches, and the blade length on the Mini Begleiter is 2.91 inches. So it's slightly longer blade just by a hair on the Mini Begleiter. Yet if you look at the handles here, you know, you got a lot more handle on the Rockwall. And that may be a turnoff for some people. Some people are really concerned with handle to blade ratio. But in this instance, it's a good thing it has extra handle, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The weight on the Mini Begleiter is 2.8 ounces, and the weight on the Rockwall is only 2.6 ounces. So it is lighter weight, yet longer. So blade thickness on the Mini Begleiter is 111 thousandths, and Tactile does not have the blade thickness listed on the Rockwall, so I'm going to check it real quick. It's about the same. It's in that same ballpark, but let's verify real quick. Well, maybe we won't be verifying. These things are going nuts on me. It won't even turn off. Okay, we won't be verifying. But as you can see, they're very similar. The Rockwall's slightly thinner, I think. Let me see if I can check and see if I can find it somewhere else. No, it does not say on their website what the blade thickness is. I wonder if... Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't say, but it's somewhere in that vicinity. Let me check this golf version, see if it says. No. It does not give the blade thickness, unfortunately, guys, but it's in the same vicinity, and I don't know what's going on with my calipers at the moment, so time for a new set, I guess. All right. So let's talk about action first off. Both are thumb stud deployment only. Both are on cage ceramic ball bearings. Both have ceramic ball detents with steel lock bar inserts. Actually, they don't have steel lock bar inserts. I take that back. They both have stainless steel liners. The action's different on these and similar. The Begleiter has a stiffer detent. There's no doubt about it. This thing has a stiff detent, and this knife cannot be failed, right? You can press as lightly as you want on this knife, whether it's with the thumb or the reverse flick, and once you break that detent, that blade is just flying out of there. It is a fantastic detent on this knife. The Rockwall has a great detent also, but it's not as snappy as the Begleiter, although it's really good. Yeah, I think I can fell this one, but I have to really try. Yeah, so I can fell this. It does not have quite as stiff of a detent, but if you give it any effort whatsoever, the blade's just going to fly out. One thing about this being such a stiff detent on this, occasionally I will miss with the reverse flick. I'll slip off, and that probably has something to do with thumb studs. The thumb studs are kind of slick on the mini Begleiter. On the thumb flick, it doesn't happen to me because I use my nail, but on my reverse flick, because of my arthritis in my knuckle, I don't generally bend and get my nail down there. I push off with the meat of my finger, and like right there, occasionally it will slip off because it is stiff. It's a stiff detent, but I like that it's a stiff detent. So the access to the thumb studs, clear winner there. The mini Begleiter wins that one hands down, and as bad as this looks, it's not as bad as it looks. Is what I should say, because once you hit it, it just works somehow. I don't know why. When you look at this knife, it doesn't look like you don't have good access to these thumb studs, but they just work. You get to them. If you have big, chunkier fingers, it could be an issue for you. For me, it's not an issue. I have no problem whatsoever getting to the thumb studs. So it did take a bit of a learning curve when I first got it, but once you get it and you feel it and you get the feel for it, they're fine. They're really done well, actually. Let's try to get this show up on camera. But if you look at these thumb studs, focus, they have like a spiral milling around them, and that actually provides quite a bit of traction. Let me check this. Yeah, my detent's a little, or my pivot's a little loose. Let me tighten that down. Sorry. I've been playing with these knives a lot, getting ready for this video, and I don't have any Loctite on these, so I'm going to be disassembling this to put skiffs in it, but I figured I'd make this video before I did that, while they're both on factory bearings. But that is that little bit of milling, that spiral milling, actually on the edges of these thumb studs, you can't see it on camera very well, but it provides you can feel it on your skin, and it gives you some traction. Where with these thumb studs, they're very slick. I don't get any traction, but I got so much access to them, I don't really need traction, except on the reverse flick, like I just did. I occasionally miss it, so because I slip off of them. But yeah, the access is much better. Overall action on these knives, this one has a better detent, no doubt about it. The Begleiter has a better detent, but the feel of the Rockwall, how smooth and glassy it is, it's hard to explain, man. I don't know how to even explain it, because this one, the Begleiter, just has that, although this is a premium knife from Kizer, it has that Kizer, I don't know how you really describe it. You can feel it in the action. You can hear it. It's like a rattle. I don't know what to call it. You can hear that rattle, and you can kind of feel that rattle. It's nothing that's wrong with the knife. It's just something with Kizer knives. I don't know how to really explain it, but if you've had a lot of Kizer knives, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Even though this is a more premium Kizer, you still got that same feel on the bearings, where it's just got a rattle on the close, and you feel it. It's great action. It's just not glassy smooth like you get on this knife, like on the Rockwall. This thing is just glassy smooth. Yeah, it's just a better feeling knife. So detent's better on this knife. Overall action is better on the Rockwall. Detent's better on the Begleiter, I should say. Overall action is better on the Rockwall, in my opinion, and it just feels like a more premium action. It's hard to put it into words what I'm trying to say, but if you felt the Kizer, a $60 Kizer, this action feels like a $60 Kizer. It doesn't feel like it's any more premium than any of the other knives. This is on another level. I wish this detent was slightly stiffer, but if you made it much more stiffer with these thumb studs, how little access you have to them, it could become problematic. So it's not bad, but I think it would benefit from a slightly stiffer detent. And that's something that could be adjusted. There's nothing wrong with it, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's just slightly, I think it could be slightly better. With the Begleiter, you have a titanium pocket clip, milled titanium pocket clip, which works very well. It does feel to me how thin it gets back here. It feels a little weak, like this is one that could get bent. I mean, even when I press down on it here, you can see it flexing. So I don't know that it ever would. It just feels like it could get bent over time. So something you'd want to be aware of. This one has a stainless steel pocket clip, and it's very stiff. But one thing I will say about this, it has that tap. When I disassemble this, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to bend it ever so slightly and make it rest tighter against the scale. Because as of right now, I do get a little tap right there. But both of these go in and out of your pocket very well. This one probably goes, this one's better. It feels better going in and out of the pocket. It just slips in and out very well. No resistance whatsoever. This one, occasionally I can feel the pocket clip is not flush with the scale, so you can feel it. And then with the frag pattern, you can feel that also going under the clip against that frag. So this one just slips in and out of the pocket perfectly. This one works fine, but you do feel, you know, depending, especially if you're wearing jeans with that seam there in the top of your jean pocket, you definitely feel the frag and that little lip right there, but it doesn't get caught, if that makes sense. It goes in and out fine, but you do feel it. This one just slips in and out like butter, man. It has that same in and out of the pocket action as it has on this open and close action. It's just glassy smooth. So Ergonomics. This one, there's really not much competition. This will go back to this longer handle we talked about at the beginning of the video. With this mini Begleiter, the ergos aren't bad. They're but if you have a larger hand, I have a medium-sized hand, and I got 4 fingers on it. But you see how this kind of locks my pinky in there because it raises up. If you got a larger hand, this might not be as comfortable for you. So something to think about. And with the size of this pocket clip on such a small knife, you feel that pocket clip in your hand the entire time. And I can feel this tip a little bit if I grip hard. So I could see that possibly becoming a hot spot over time. But, you know, it's not a hot spot, just normal use. I don't think it would ever be a hot spot. But it's just noticeable. Such a large clip on a small knife, you just feel that clip in your hand the entire time. This jimping here, it's really slick. It doesn't provide hardly any traction at all. I can just slide my thumb over it. No matter how hard I push down, it does not lock my thumb in there at all. So with this one, this pocket clip vanishes into your hand. With a medium-sized hand, I got a really good grip. This milling, and even on the regular Rockwall with the regular milling, your fingers feel this milling. It almost acts like jimping. It definitely gives you some extra grip with that milling. And this jimping here is done extremely well. This one will actually lock my thumb in there, and I feel like I have more control with my thumb there, where this one, my thumb just slides all around. But if I put a little pressure on this jimping, it's locking my thumb down. This one does not do that. This one is thinner because the liners are nested. The Rockwall is. It's a full scale thinner than the mini Begleiter. So this is a chunkier knife. If you like a chunkier knife, you may prefer this. But and this frag over here, it does provide a little bit of traction also, just like this golf milling does, or the regular milling does on the regular Rockwall. So yeah, ergos aren't bad on this. But this is much better, right? This is much better in hand. It just feels really good in hand. Everything about it, the way they've done all the edges here, they milled them and rounded them off, just feels really good in hand, guys. Feels premium in hand. This does not feel premium in hand. It just doesn't feel, I don't know, just doesn't feel the same. This feels a lot better. And I think most of that has to do with how big this pocket clip is. You just feel it all in your hand. It's just not the most comfortable ever, but it's not bad. So don't take this as a negative. This is just much better ergos than this. So Fit and finish. All right, you can look at these and probably already pick the winner, but you know, I'll go ahead and point out some things. This knife feels like it was made in a factory, and they just, you know, they got the design down. They pumped out a whole bunch of them, and you know, got it to where it's acceptable, which is good, and shipped them out. Right. The liners are slightly like shadow box. They slightly stick up above the scales and below the scales, and yeah, it just does it. It's a good looking knife. It's a very well made knife for Kizer. It's extremely well made knife. This is on a different level, guys. The fit and finish on this knife, they looked at every little freaking part of this knife and just, I mean, it's just fantastic. It truly is fantastic fit and finish. It feels premium in hand. It looks premium. I love the stonewash finish on the blade. Also, something else to point out about this knife I skipped. This has a flat grind with a stonewash. This has a hollow grind with a satin finish. This is going to be the mini Begleiter is going to be a much slicier blade. M390 versus Magna Cut also. This is going to be a much slicier blade because of that hollow grind. This isn't bad though. I've cut with this knife. It cuts fine. It's not going to be as slicey as the mini Begleiter with that hollow, but I'd love to see that flat grind go all the way up, but there's nothing wrong with it the way it is. But the fit and finish, man, Tactile knocked it out of the park. I think all their years of making ink pens and, you know, doing the fit and finish on their ink pens, they just carried that right over to making knives, and it's just soft everywhere, soft and grippy, and just feels so good in hand. Same with the action. It just feels premium, man. It just feels so good. This one, it doesn't have that premium feel to it like this. Now, compared to some other knives, yes, it does feel premium, but this is a different level of premium feeling. And you know, you can buy two of these for what one of these costs, right? This is 140, this is 300. Well, this version's 330, but buy it for 300. You can feel that difference. You can feel that additional money for this knife. You can feel it in hand, you can feel it in the action, and you can look at it and see it in the fit and finish and the ergonomics. It's just on, you know, it's on a slightly different level of, you know, and it's made in the USA, so that's going to kick the price up also. It's on a different level. This is a much better knife in my opinion. The Magna Cut, one thing I will point out, it's more difficult to sharpen, to put an edge on, than M390. If you know how to sharpen, it's not a big deal. It's just going to take you more passes on a stone to get it to a, you know, the same finish that you would get an M390 blade to. Both hold their edge well. In my experience, the Magna Cut holds its edge longer than the M390 does. I think a lot of that has to do with the HRC. I don't know what the HRC is on this knife, on this mini Begleiter, but the HRC on the Rockwall is 60 to 61, and so they went with the happy medium. They didn't want it too hard, but they didn't want it too soft, so they kind of went right in that 60 61. A lot of people would prefer a 62 63, but I'm fine with a 60 61. It's not too hard to sharpen, and it holds its edge very well. So yeah, I would prefer the Magna Cut over the M390 personally. I also prefer the stonewash over the satin finish because of the fingerprint issue, but that's the only reason. Nothing wrong with the satin finish. I just don't like wiping fingerprints off all the time. Yeah, both are fantastic knives. If you want to buy a knife that's made in USA, support an American company, and you can afford $300, you cannot go wrong with this knife. This knife is so good, guys. It's hard for me to put into words how good this knife is. This is a knife that will never leave my collection. I have two daughters who aren't into knives, but if they have sons and I have grandsons, or if I have granddaughters that are into knives, this knife will never leave my collection. It'll get passed down. This knife is built and feels like it is a multi-generational knife. You can pass this down to your children and your grandchildren. This knife doesn't feel like that. Although it may hold up that well, it just doesn't feel like it's made like that. It's hard to explain. It just doesn't feel the same quality as this. And yeah, although if you don't have $300 to spend and you want a premium knife, premium gentleman's carry knife in that $150 range, $140, you can't go wrong with this knife. The Mini Begleiter is a fantastic knife. It really is. It's a great knife, but it's not on the same level as this knife. The Rockwall is just on a whole different level. So, you know, for $140, this is a great knife. For $300, this is a great knife. And you can feel the difference in price in hand and in action. So, yeah. My preference, obviously, it's the Rockwall. But you know, like I said, it comes down to what you're comfortable spending. You can't go wrong with either of these knives. Both of them are excellent. So it comes down to what you have to spend, what your budget is, and where you want to spend your money at. If you want to support American and you can swing it, you will not be disappointed. Pick one of these up. You will absolutely love it. And if you just want a premium knife and you don't have that much money, pick one of these up. You will not be disappointed. You will absolutely love it. Both are great knives in their own way. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Enjoyed the video. Hit that like button for me. And I will see you guys on the next one.